Hi there, my name's Steve Hughes. I'm a solution consultant here at Pimberley. My expertise is publishing, and so I'm going to walk you through the catalogue module, and we're going to have an overview of what the module does. We're going to walk through a series of subjects, one of those being sample spreads. So we're going to have a look at some of the literature that we've produced or had mock-ups done in the module. We're going to look at how you would store your data, parent and child. We're going to look at that data in groups in a Pimberley instance. We're going to look at the channel setup. Basically, the channel is how you send the content out of Pimberley to the catalog module. That's done via API. We'll look at the architecture. So an AWS box is deployed, running InDesign. We'll look at that in a bit more detail. We're then going to build a couple of pages up in the catalog module. We'll look at the catalog UI. We'll look at the production stages, which are used to trigger a behavior up on that AWS box. We'll look at the InDesign part, so we'll look at the exported content and understand how it's happening and all the style sheeting. We'll then take that finished spread and we'll clone that and produce a different price version. On this demo, we're going to produce a Euro version of a sterling mailer. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an overview of what we're about to go through. So without further ado, let's pop into, here we have a Pimberley instance. So I mentioned first off, we're going to look at the sample spreads. So I've opened up Acrobat. Here are a few samples that I'd like to just walk you through. Here is here's a manufacturing publication, quite data heavy, obviously tabular, big on tables. So this is a mock-up that we did basically for a faux company of Acme Tools. We've then got a more designed, more styled, more consumer-friendly camping mailer here, which is just a double-page spread that we mocked up for Go Outdoors. This is the spread of coffee in a catering mailer that we're going to build today. So this is we're going to produce this. You'll watch me build it in a second. This is a fashion apparel mailer for cotton traders, currently live with the platform. This is an electrical mailer. So this was a 500 page catalogue. This has all been drawn out of Pimberley Catalogue. We've then got Fashion Inc., which is a 2-page document, which is built off of test content that the Pimberley team on board with. So I thought it'd be nice to build an output from Pimberley Catalogue with that content. We've also got that content here in French. So here we're demonstrating UK French, so bringing out data in different locales. And to finish, we've got a parallel double-page spread that we mocked up for a potential customer in Australia. So there's some really good examples, and obviously they look different, but the process is exactly the same. And we're now going to take a good look at that process. Okay, so if I close Acrobat, what we're now looking at is a Pimberley instance. Okay, so hopefully you're a Pimberley customer. If not, you'll be you're looking at Pimberley, taking Pimberley, and you probably had the pre-sales meet and greets and you're some way through that process. So I'm going to talk around the data structure. So here we've got a parent and child relationship. We've got a product group, and within that product group we have some SKUs. Okay, so if I look at both, you can see here that the relationship is these 4 SKUs live within this group. And we've got some attribution at both these levels, which we're going to look at. So if I look at the group first, you can see here we've got a media set, which is the group level media. Okay, so this is what's going to hit our document, our page, or we're going to select from for output to InDesign. We've got 4 images there. Obviously, the Kenco coffee in its different sizes. We have a brand logo, okay, which may be linked up automatically by a value of brand. We've also got a video that we're storing in Pimberley. Clearly, we're not going to be drawing that out to page. And we have a QR code, which we could decide to draw out or not. I think for the purpose of this demo, we won't. But you can see here, you've got assets at group level. Okay, so assets against the parent. Again, group attribution. So we've got our group name, we've got our group features, we've got these icons. We've got a series of drop-down menus, which we're able to, based on behavior, draw out icons, which is a really, really, really nice feature. So for this particular group, show the non-returnable icon and the rainforest certified icon and the organic icon. But please, I don't want to see the fair trade or bestseller. So we're able to use these. So these could be used for things like new icons. They could be used for bestsellers. They could be used for own label, private label type heroing. So again, quite a nice feature and very powerful. We've then got the SKUs that are available within that group. So if we come out of there and go back, we can look at one of the children. So if we pick on this child, you can see we have imagery. We're going to ignore this at catalogue level because we're talking about drawing the assets from the group. So the assets are down there. That may be for web only, but you can see here, this is the type of data. So type, blend, size, price, the type of data that's going to build our tables when we hit InDesign. Okay, so just a little overview about the structure. So you've got a group with children within it, and they've got attribution that we're bringing out at the different levels. So how do we bring that data out? So the next part we're going to look at is channels. Okay, so in the admin area of the platform, we have what we call channels. So think of channels as exports. Channels is our way of withdraw or taking content from the platform and sending it somewhere. It can be flat file, can be CSV, can be Excel, can be API, XML, whatever you decide. But for Pimbly Catalog, it's obviously API. So we don't want data. We want data to automatically transfer to our catalog module box. So we've got a RESTful API channel, which has its own token. And then down here are the required attributes mapped out in a channel for us to build a book. So we don't need to expose all the attributes, just the ones we know to build a book. So you can see here these are the attributes for the particular tables. So type, blend, size, and price. So there's the price-led attribution. And you can see we have our assets. We want our primary images and our brand logos. And then down here, we've got our attributes at group level. So things like page name, features, and then our icons decision. Okay, so that's the channel. So this is using API to send content to the catalog module box. So what we're going to do now is just look at that architecture in a little bit more detail. So I keep mentioning an AWS box. So I'm going to flip to that here. So here is our AWS. So this is the catalog module running on an AWS box. This can be PC or Mac. So for the purpose of this demo, it's PC. Okay, we can spin up Macs for you if desired. Okay, so this is running a piece of middleware here. Okay, so this is the catalog module middleware that is talking via API to that Pimbly instance. You can see not a lot's happening because we're not communicating at the moment. We don't have a book in progress. Okay, and we're also running a version of InDesign up in the cloud on your behalf for you. Just to clarify, these boxes are client specific. So you would have your own AWS box. Okay, so they're not a shared resource. So you don't go waiting for somebody else when they're exporting. This is your box and is part of your Pimbly catalog deployment. So inside this middleware are the catalog styles. Okay, so again, we'll teach you how to build those, what they are. In essence, they're a way of the middleware telling InDesign this attribute needs to be in this style sheet. Okay, so you can start to, for the InDesign people on watching this video, you'll start to see some synergy around sort of the attribute in Pimbly, maybe called features, and a style sheet on your template called features, which is obviously turning the font and the color of the font and all of those good things that we do with style sheets in InDesign. So as I said, this is pretty much dormant at the moment. It's not doing anything. It's not talking because we've not got a catalog underway. So if we flip back to Pimbly and start to have a look around the catalog UI. Okay, so here we go into the catalog module. You can see we don't have any books at the moment. So let's create one. So nice and easy. I want a new publication. So what we're going to do is we're going to do catalog module. Okay, so here we go. So we've created a publication called catalog module. So this is the create publication screen. I'd like to choose what locale I want to build in. So for the purpose of today, we're going to build an English mailer. Scopes, what scope of data do I want? You may have heard of scopes from the pre-sales team. Scopes is a tone of voice, so different flavors of text against the same product record. I'm going to choose master. Spread type, so we can work in singles or doubles. We're going to do doubles for the purpose of this demo. You could do singles if that's your preference. We've then got the choice of InDesign templates. So this is all different InDesign templates within the platform. I'm going to choose the Catering Inc. template. I'm going to leave key types. I'm going to leave that blank because we're not going to use numbers or letters next to our products, but we could do if we wanted to. Okay, you could choose numbers or letters. Make sense? Okay, so what we've then got to choose is a style. So this is the, like I say, this is the style of what that book looks like. Now you might have one that does the whole book, or we might be able to take a style per section. Again, we'll work with you when we're deploying as to how we think you should be using styles. These two buttons here I'm going to leave unticked. We'll come back to them later. But in essence, this means start communicating via API and create me a structure. But clearly we don't have a structure to create yet. So we're not going to push those buttons live. So I'm going to create the publication. So there we go. We now have an empty skeleton of a book. It's just a book. It doesn't have any data inside it. We're talking about a catalog system here, right? So the structure is going to be pretty much like every other catalog system out there in the universe. We're going to have a book, a publication. It's going to have some sections. Those sections will have pages or spreads, and those spreads will have groups or products on them. Okay, so that structure is still relevant inside the catalog module. So here we're going to go inside that book. We can give it a front cover. Okay, so I'm just going to take an image from the DAM and I'm going to make that my front cover. So if I click to the DAM, here you can see the objects that I have in my DAM. Clearly I've got lots of coffee. I'm just going to take this front cover image here and I'm going to copy that URL and back into catalog. And now I'm going to apply that as a front cover to my book. So you can see there we've got our catering mailer front cover. There's an overview screen here. You can see down here that we've got some sections, but we do not have any sections in our book. So we're going to add a section, new section, and we're going to call this drinks. Okay, and we're not going to choose a style because we're going to use the same style, but here is where you would choose a specific style for that particular section and arguably a different template for that section. So you can see how you could do multi-section templates. Create a section called drinks. I'm going to create another one and we're going to call that snacks. Okay, so we now have two sections in our book. You can see these down here, drinks and snacks. We've got two sections. I'm going to now color those sections. So inside drinks, you can see here, this is the section screen. I'm going to say for drinks, I would like to use orange, and for snacks, I would like to use green. Okay, so two section colors. They don't have any spreads in, so we're going to add those now. You can import all of this structure and brief using what we call a running order template. Okay, so here is an example of one. So I am literally pushing the buttons and taking you through the UI. 9 times out of 10, if you're doing a catalog of any size, you're probably going to build what we call a running order import and import that data. So here's an example of what that is. So what section, what spread, what style do I want to use, what stage do I want to give those spreads when I import them, and literally you can import and do everything that we're doing here using the import data function up here. Import data. Okay, so you can do a publication import. So I'm just taking you through the manual build because it's easier and you get a better understanding, but you can import all of this work that I'm about to do. So we're going to add to this section two spreads. We're going to give them a stage. And again, I mentioned stages. Stages are the production hoops and loops that you're going to jump through on any given page it's the page journey that it goes through internally. And again, it's tailored and will be different for every different customer. So here I've just made a couple of stages and I've got a journey up here that takes us through creating, briefing, exporting, amending, artworking, price updating. And these stages have different triggers on our AWS box. So if I use the stage of created, I know that no activity is going to happen on the AWS box in the catalog module because it's a stale status. It doesn't have any triggers. If I was to change it to export, then obviously something would happen, which we're going to do later. So I create two spreads. You can see there I've got some nice orange spreads. I am literally going to rename those spreads. So I'm going to edit the spread and I'm going to call this one my front cover. I'm then going to take the next spread. So next spread here, you can see we're on spread 2. And I'm going to edit that and I'm going to say this is coffee. There we go. So if we go back to our section view, you can see we've now got two spreads in our section of drinks, nicely labeled up as orange with this sash here, which is our production stage of created. Okay, so let's add a couple of pages to the snacks section. Again, we don't choose a style, or we'll give it a stage of created. And you can see that they're green. We might want to edit them. We don't need to edit their names because we're not going to export them. But you can see we've now got two sections with two spreads in each. So now we need to brief some content onto our page. So, okay, these again, we're building our structure, we're layering our data up. So we've got a book called Catalog Module. It has 2 sections, drinks and snacks, and has 4 spreads, 2 in each of those sections. So now if we click on coffee, we're now in what we call the page screen, okay, or the spread screen. So here we've got some information around the spread. We've got our pages down here, pages 2 and 3, 2 and 3. So I'm going to brief onto page 2 some groups or a group. You can filter those groups up here in the filter menu. Alternatively, you can just singly find them, which I'm doing here, and I'm going to add number 1 to this page 2. Here you see are the images that we've drawn over, pulled through from the group which we looked at earlier. I'm going to select the images that I'd like to output with that particular group. I'm going to ignore the QR code and video. Okay, so I'm then going to go to the next page. So if we move on to the next page, page 3, and I'm now going to brief 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 onto this side of the spread. Okay, and again, I'm going to make some choices here with regards to images. I literally just want the logo and the product image. So I'm making sure that I select that. And there we go. Wait for the breadcrumb. There we go. So we now have briefed our section. You can see we now have product 7. So across that spread, we have 7 products on pages 2 to 3. We're now in a place where we have briefed our content. Okay, so I'm now going to go back to the setup screen at publication level, and we're going to set that live. Okay, so if I go home, back to the catalog module, and back to the catalog that I'm building, and I edit the publication, I'm going to ask it to create the publication folder. I'm going to ask to put it live. So live, just to recap, means that the API is going to switch on and start communicating with this book. And create the publication folder means let's tell the Cloudbox to build our structure using this template for our book that we've briefed. We're not going to export any content, but we are going to get ourselves ready from a structural perspective. So if you look here, we've now got a tick for live, and the publication folder is still an X. So if we go to the AWS box, we should see some activity happening on here. This AWS box is set up with a minute. Every minute there's an API call. So we're just waiting really for the publication folder to be created. Here we go. So it takes the template. So what's happened here is Pimply Dam has sent the template to this Cloudbox, which looks a bit like this here over in InDesign. It's then saying, right, I need a structure. I need to build myself a structure, and that is 4 spreads across 2 sections in a book called Catalog Module. So it's briefing that. It's creating the templates of the InDesigns. Okay. It's going to do that and then put them back in the Pimply Dam and await further instruction. So if we come back in here and do a refresh, you can now see the publication folder is created using this InDesign template. So the next part of the demonstration is really to talk more about the brief content and how you would then publish that. So we've already briefed our 7 products onto this spread. So the next part is to export that content. Now, most catalogers might brief an entire section, and again, that could be done via the import. So they might import a section, build a section, export that entire section. So you can do exports of multiple pages. For the purpose of today, we're literally going to concentrate on this spread. So I tick up here and I want to update one spread. Okay, you could tick multiple spreads, but as it is, I just want to do this one. I'm going to update one spread. And you see here, I'm going to choose a different stage. So at the moment, everything is set at created. Okay, what I want to do is I want to ready to export. So like I said, these stages have triggers on the AWS box. So when the API call takes place and this page or spread is sent with an update of ready to export, the Cloudbox is going to behave differently and export our content out to InDesign up in the cloud. So let's have a go. You can see here the status of the document or the page in Catalog has changed to ready to export. If we now go back to the Cloudbox, we're now waiting for that content and that API call to send that trigger. Okay, so the middleware is going to look at this in a sec and go, hey, pages 2 to 3, ready to export. Here's all the objects. So Pimply instance will send to this Cloudbox all of the images required, all of the icons required, the template that's already been assigned. and then say, right, let's output that content. That content will be output using what we call a publication style, or which is stored in the middleware. Those are built with a language of Xtags. We'll show you what that looks like, how to do those, and then you'll be self-sufficient building catalog styles for your own books. So we're just waiting for that API call to take place. Like I say, it's every minute, so it's not as instant as it's not seconds. And the reason for that is obviously it's got to copy the assets. So here we go, processing page items. So here we're now opened our template and we're now placing that content out to InDesign. Okay, so here we're seeing the nice organized groups coming out on the second page of the publication. We're going to go and have a look at what's happened in a sec. So it's basically drawing your content out from Pimbly. So what we're trying to create here is one version of the truth. You need to get your groups and your data all managed, all aligned up in Pimbly, and then the catalog is literally just another channel, another output of your content. So you could be sending this content to your website as well. Here we're drawing that content out into the desktop publishing platform of InDesign. We're generating a PDF as well. So this is us just demonstrating at any given stage. So here on the ready to export stage, we're creating a PDF. So that task is finished. Okay, so that trigger has happened. What we're going to now do is go and have a look at what really took place. If I go back to Pimbly catalog and I issue a refresh, okay, so you can see my stage has changed to first layout complete. If I look at what's happened, I've got a JPEG preview that's being maintained from the catalog module of what's just taken place. So this is how a document can export. This side here is literally showing you the power of Xtags. So with lots and lots of tagging and styling, we're able to produce finished documents. 99 times out of 100, this is more common, and this is what's going to happen. So this is how we're going to deliver structured content. It's styled, it's got style sheets attached to it. We're going to look at that in InDesign in just a sec. But you can see it's plopped it out, 6 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you've got, as an art worker, you've got all the content, all the objects, and all the data you now need to make that page look finished. Okay, and that's really what the module is all about. Taking your content, your source of truth, delivering it to art workers and making their job easier. Okay, so let's just have a look at what takes place next, which is more around the icons, more around the artworking stage. Okay, so you're in the page view here. Okay, so sorry, I'll go back to the start. So back to section, into spread. You can see we have here the ability to check out and check in. Okay, so this is a nice feature. This is for your art workers. Okay, so you're the administrator or the catalog lead or the creative lead. You've exported the data. That could be the entire section. You've now got art workers. They could be sat anywhere. So we are able to accommodate an in-source, outsource production process. So here I'm going to check out. So I am now an art worker sat here and I'm checking out this document. So you see here I've got a checkout request here, which when I click on, delivers me locally an InDesign document. Okay, so there we go. So that is the checked out InDesign document. It's now checked out to me. Look, Steve Hughes, and checked out on this time and date. If I open that into InDesign, you will see that this is what that page looks like at the moment. So as it exported. So I'm just going to go and have a quick look around inside here and show you what's actually happening. So we have an extension that's deployed and you would use for us, which is called In Catalog. We've also got another one called Xtags, but that resides on the catalog box, the AWS box that floats in the cloud for you. So let's just have a quick look at what's really happening. Okay, so if I highlight this area here, you can see using this floating palette, and again, I'm just showing you how it's constructed. You would not need to do this when you're artworking the pages. Here is the group name. Okay, so this is the field called group name from the data from Pimbly. This is the field called features from the instance that we drew the content out of. If we move further down, you can see we start to build our data into tables. So you remember we had blend, size, price. So here we have what we call the primary ID, the product code. Then we've got product blend. So you can see the difference. You have group attributes, and product attributes. So there's our parent and child relationship together. Parent is the group name, the features, and then we're into the children, which is the codes and their respective tin sizes and their prices. Okay, and all of these brackets are around the data to keep that safe and to make sure that we're able to update. So hopefully that explains the integration. So clearly we're using style sheets. So I'm going to just use, if I get up, Windows styles, paragraph styles. So again, like I mentioned earlier, I am a big fan of linking the style sheet and the attribute name. So the attribute here is called group name. The style sheet is called group name. The attribute here is group.features. The style sheet is features. So we can start to get some synergy between, right, I'm looking at this field and it's going to be styled with this style sheet. You can see here, the table is all under a product style sheet and the code will be using a character style sheet. Windows style sheets. Character, we'll be using a character style sheet of code, something similar to this. And here, a character style sheet of sale price. So hopefully that demonstrates how it all hooks up. So let me just close these palettes and just close this document. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to close that one too, because we're going to go back and I have a document here that's all artwork. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the file name, pop the downloads folder away, and I'm going to pretend that this document is my working document. So if we double click that, bring that into InDesign, you can see here the document looks finished. Okay, so this is how an artwork page. I'm going to hide these link markers using that palette. So hide link markers. So there is a finished spread. I would expect a competent artworker to have taken the exported content and make it look like this with no longer than 10 to 15 minutes. Because they've got everything they need. It's just a process of expanding the images, organizing things, positioning things where they feel necessary. And that is now a finished artwork page. Okay. So if we close that, we want to check that in. So we've now artworked our page. So I'm now the artworker. I want to check in. You can see we've now got a check-in box. I'm going to check in that finished page and I'm going to upload. So that is your artworker. Again, could be inside the four walls of the business or could be external to that. So you could have a freelance tapper that your freelance designers that you're switching on and off depending on seasonality. So there we go. We've just uploaded. There we go. Checked in. We've just uploaded our document. So if we do a refresh, we have checked that in at 2 o'clock. So that is, you notice this preview hasn't changed. And that is because we haven't asked a Cloudbox to use our new document yet. So we've got to the point where we've built a book. We put some sections within that book. We put some pages within that section. We put some groups on those pages. And we're using our production stage of export, we've drawn that content out. We've then taken those spreads and we've artworked them. Okay, so we've done some artworking. So we might want to change the stage. Okay, so you might want to manage your production stage. So you might want your art workers to check in and then literally update that spread with a production stage change of artwork or something similar. So you can have stages that don't trigger activity on the Cloudbox. For the next part of the demo, we're going to fast forward and say that the page and arguably the PDF, because I said we were creating a PDF. You can see you can get the PDF here. So the PDF is available for a download. There you go. Still artworked, obviously, because we haven't updated. That is available now. That could be annotated. That could be uploaded and annotated into the module. So we're now talking about fast forwarding and maybe pricing this document. You'll see that we're currently 0 priced. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to price our page. So if we go back to home and literally back to the product list. So remember, the source of data is Pimberley. So what we're going to now do is import some prices. So this could be a price import from an ERP system that could have flooded in overnight, or it could be a price file that's generated in the buying team, in the merchandising team, in the commercial teams for these said products. And we're just going to use Pimberley to import a price file. So I'm just going to import, select a file on my desktop. I've got a price import, which is a simple document, and I've just mapped that into the attribute. So here you can see I've got UK sale price and an Irish sale price. We're interested in just the UK for the minute, so I'm just going to import UK sale prices into the UK language or the English language. Import. There we go. So our prices are now on our products, on our SKUs at sale price level. So if we just edit one, you'll see here sale price is now $99.99. So now we can do an update through the catalog module to our pages. So if I go to the catalog, back into catalog module, back into my book, and back into my section, I should now see a first layout complete. Okay, so this page we are now going to price. So the way that we would do that is clearly we'd make a status change, a stage change on that spread. So I'm going to update one spread, and I'm going to say that I am ready to do a price update. Okay. So, like I say, the page has probably been for a few hoops and loops and a few steps of amends and things like that. We've fast forwarded and we're now ready to price. So what now happens is these stages are obviously configured. So price update, we're now looking at the AWS box to see what's going to happen when the price update status is passed. We're only going to change prices. Okay, so these stages, we're able to configure and manage what you want to change. So clearly at this stage of pricing, we don't want to update any content. We don't want to update any descriptions. We don't want to update things like that because we're happy with it. Okay, we're ready really to go to print. We just need to drop the prices in. So here we're going over. You can see the price will update in a sec on those pages, and we're now just we've output our new document. There we go. So it dropped in 99.99. It's opened our new document, our artwork document that we checked in as an art worker, and applied the pricing. We're then going to open that document again, I think, and we're going to create a PDF. That PDF, everything is high res all the way along here because we're sending the objects from the module and from Pimbly to the module. So all of these images are high res in place. So we're going to create a high res PDF every time we generate one. So if you get the printer profile into this version of InDesign, arguably you're making print ready PDFs along the way. So that's just going to close. Then we're going to go back to the catalog module. So we use an API to post those assets and objects back up to Pimbly DAM. We'll do a refresh here. You can see that we are now at a stage of ready to print. Okay, so we're changing that stage. If we go in there, you can see we've now got prices in place. And like I say, the PDF's been produced behind the scenes here, which we looked at previously. So that's now an up-to-date PDF. We're putting all these objects back in the DAM, okay? So you can see here, we've got a JPEG preview of the page, we've got the PDF of the page, and we've also got the document, the InDesign document of the page, okay? So we're talking about 2 and 3 is the page that we've been exporting to. I want to just show you something. So if I click on this InDesign file, you see here we have history. So we're using object versioning in the Pimbly DAM. So as you go through your production stage and your production cycle, if for whatever reason you get to a third layout, but actually you preferred the second, you could use the object versioning to go backwards. Okay, so that's again a really nice feature. And obviously it's all built into Pimbly. Pimbly has its own DAM. So we're putting all of the InDesign files away into that DAM like we would do all of your images and all of your logos. So that's where your InDesign files will reside, in the same Pimbly DAM. So you can see here, we're just trying to join everything up and create a content hub and a version of truth for everything. So we're some way on now. We've built our book, we've built our section, we've built our pages, we exported that, we artworked it, we fast forwarded the artworking process a little in this demonstration. We then priced it. Okay, so we now have a UK priced page or double page spread or document. Let's assume it's a finished book, and we now want to create what we call an Irish version or a Euro price version. So we're now able to make what we call a clone. Okay, so we're able to take that book and duplicate publication. Okay, so this is again a very nice feature. We're able to pick that whole book up and duplicate. So I'm going to say I would like an IR version, please, and in the language is Irish. Okay, so I'm now going to create an Irish version. I would like to copy the publication folder, which means I'm going to duplicate all of my InDesign files. So here we're doing sort of a complete duplicate of a whole book. Now this book could be 100 pages. At the point, obviously, this is just 8. So you can see here, we've now created a duplicate publication from our master one. So you can see the benefits here. If your product churn, book by book, is very, very small, i.e. 10-20%, which is about the norm, then you could be leapfrogging, duplicating, and then going and just doing a repage or basically a remake of the 5, 10, 20, 100 spreads that are affected by ins and outs and discontinuations. So you can see there the duplicate process could become really, really key to your catalog process and could give you some great efficiencies. So let's just go and have a look inside here. You can see here the publication folder has not been created yet. So the AWS box, the API call is still happening. So we're just waiting for that to have taken place. We're waiting for this tick to kick in, which means that the API and the AWS box are in sync. Once that's there we go. So we've now got that. So a duplicate has been created. We are now localed Irish. Okay, so we were localed UK or English on our previous book. We are now Irish. So if we come back to our data, back to our SKUs, we can now do an import of Irish prices. And again, this could all be happening concurrently or in the background via an ERP. So I'm now going to map what we call the Irish sale price. See here, I'm mapping the same attribute into sale price, but I've now got the option to import those prices to a different locale. Import. All done. Okay, so again, back to your source of truth, back to your data. Your products are your products are key. Your products and your groups. They're just the catalog is just a different output. So now we've got some Irish pricing attached to some products that are used within this Irish book. So we need to come in here. We can update the spreads. When we duplicate, we blank the status back to 0 because we're not sure where you want your pages to be. You could do an update all spreads on this screen. So you could update all spreads and put them to a particular stage. Let's put them all to created. Now when we go into the section, you can see they're all set at created. Clearly created, as we found out earlier, is not a hot trigger at production stage. So we now need to do a price update on this document. So on this particular spread, we're going to say, let's do a price update. So what's actually happened there is we've duplicated our English book. We've decided it's for Irish market. We've imported some Euro pricing or some Irish-led pricing. And we've then said, can this spread be updated to Irish Euro pricing? So that's what's going to happen. The next API call that happens in that new book that's called Irish, it's going to use the Irish pricing and outload those onto the document. So hopefully you're starting to see some of the efficiencies that you could gain year on year using the catalog module. So we're just going to wait for that API call to kick in. Once it's kicked in, we'll see the document open and hopefully the Euro prices drop in. We'll then make a Euro PDF and we'll go and have a look at that in the platform. Here we go. So there we go, Euro priced. They've all dropped in. It closes the document. What it does do is it then posts back the InDesign file using API to the Pimbly DAM. Like I say, we're doing PDF creation at this stage. So PDF creation at stages is again configurable by you. So at price update, we're choosing to do a PDF. So we go get the InDesign document again. We open it. We then use the PDF generator or PDF definition within InDesign to create a PDF to your liking. We then post that via API back into the Pimbly DAM. And there we go. Back to Pimbly, do a refresh. You can see here, this document is now ready to print. If we go into the page, we're Euro priced, and we've got a PDF here that's also Euro priced, which can go off to print. Just close that. Okay. So that concludes the demonstration of the catalog module. I hope you found that interesting. Feel free to reach out if you need more information. My name's Steve Hughes. Thanks for listening.